Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak. I'm in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by Ralph Schrager, who's up in Belmont, Mass, and Ray Clifford is joining us in a minute. We're having a couple of technical problems.
Yeah, it's like an NFL broadcast tonight, huh,
Yeah,
Marty?
it's whoever did the Jet. It's perfect. Whoever did the Jet game, Ray, on CBS is involved in your
And Jerome
picture.
Bruder's
Yeah, but
controlling
nevertheless,
our
yeah.
meeting.
I'd like to open up with something. I just want to say that we have to be a little bit excited because Zach Wilson will be starting, and Ralph had guaranteed he's going to be like a 12-year Pro Bowler.
Well, that's kind of changed over the last year. So
That's all right.
10-year Pro Bowl.
Yeah, 6-year.
First 2 years are out the window.
You know, Ralph, I don't know if you heard, Ray was with a group at a bar in Ohio, a Jets group, but CBS lost the feed.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, and when it came back without a sound, the Jets were, I can't tell you where they were, 5, 7, 9-yard line, and they're walking back towards the 20. And then we get an explanation that Corey Davis grabbed Eli Apple's helmet and started twisting it. They threw a flag. Now, I just want to say this. This is a reflection on the coaching staff. The game before, Marcel Harris did the same thing, similar. I mean, it was a borderline whether it should have been called. And I just want to segue from that into the communication issues that's going on this year. And I believe Ralph had mentioned that we got 2 studs at defensive back. Why would you just play man, first of all? And then second of all, there was a lack of communication against the Cleveland game, and Amari Cooper was all alone. And then this past game, Jamar Chase was all alone. And Ralph, I had called Ray because this has been bothering me. And I remember last year, something happened in the Tampa Bay game, miscommunication on offense. Ray, you want to explain that?
Oh, the explanation after the game was that the call on that fateful quarterback sneak was supposed to be a jet sweep by Berrios, an end around basically. And they didn't communicate it that way to Zach. So he thought he had an option of sneak or do whatever, or not do whatever, but sneak or hand it off. And he did the sneak, but they should have told him from the beginning, we aren't going with anything but the handoff or the pitch to Berrios. And according to them, that was wide open and it would have worked completely. But, who knows, since it never unfolded that way. But basically they called a play where he had an option and didn't relay to him that we aren't using one of the options at all. And he used the one that he shouldn't have.
Ralph, what's your take? Is it me, or is this a troubling pattern that we choke up to a rookie coaching staff, but I don't see any improvement?
Marty, you think about the first game in Saleh's career against Carolina. They came out flat as board.
They always come out flat.
I know, they had a little fake comeback. Well, my point is nothing's really changed in a year. That's the bad part. Even if they don't win the games, for once, I just want to see this team come out and take a lead.
Yeah.
Score first.
Go on a drive.
Yeah, go on a drive or stop them 3 and out and then go on a drive. Yeah. I mean, they've had the lead for 25 seconds this year out of 180 minutes. It's bad. It's really bad. Now, if I say, am I giving up on Saleh? No. But if you said to me, if you're a betting man, where do you think Robert Saleh is going to be in a year or two? I would not bet that he'd be the Jet coach. I see no improvement at all. I see lack of discipline, like you said, these stupid penalties, lack of accountability. I don't like, what they're doing with the defensive backs. Like you said, their safeties clearly are not very good, and their corners are better. And it's been really frustrating.
Ray, another thing is that when he first became coach, and he was a defensive coordinator of San Francisco, he was touting over and over and over again that third down is your bread and butter. That's where you make your bones. Ray, out of the 10 touchdowns against the Jets this year, 7 have been on third downs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so troubling, and I think it's going to get to a point. I don't like some of the words that are coming out of his mouth either. Like, well, we've been unlucky like 7 times during a game, 6 or 7 times. Every team has miscommunication. Ray, what's your take when he says stuff like that?
Well, as far as the miscommunication, I don't doubt that those go on all the time. They just don't always end up in touchdowns. But what I will say, as far as unlucky, I mean, if I were to look at their game as a whole, forget the touchdown passes, how many times have we stopped a team on third down? I'm not saying we don't ever, but I don't think our percentage is nearly good enough on third down, period. Forget touchdowns, just at all. So third down has been a problem for this team for years.
Oh my God. Never get off the field.
On both sides of the ball.
And the few times they do stop them, they get a roughing the passer.
Yeah, then they get
penalty.
Yeah.
They find a way to continue the drive.
Yeah, man, if I had hair to pull out, I'd pull it out, but it's, too many roughing the passer penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ralph, another thing that's really bothering me, I understand Coach, he has his own philosophy and he wants to adhere to it. But this philosophy about rotating the defensive line, I got to tell you, on my show, Jets Rewind Plus last Saturday, I said, you got to have Queen and Williams in there 70 to 80% of the snaps. What's your feeling on this rotation, Ralph?
Well, the whole idea of the rotation was to have them fresh in the fourth quarter. That doesn't seem to be working. So, yes, I'd keep my best guys out there. Obviously not for every play, but I'd play Williams more, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Ray.
One more point on, the coaching staff in general. I think one of the biggest mistakes is that we brought in all guys who are in their first time doing things. First time defensive coordinator, first time offensive coordinator, first time head coach. I don't think that's a good recipe for and then, we have a young team on top of it. I just think that's a recipe for just failure in a lot of ways. They've all got to grow, and I don't think we have the time or want to take the time to do that. I think you need veteran presence as a coach as well as players.
Yeah, I would say, but they're not growing. That's the problem.
No.
I mean, if they were showing some growth this year, I'd say, okay, we took our lumps with them as rookies, but
Exactly.
it's not happening. Yeah.
Ray, if you remember going way back when he got his job, I recommended that they hire, who's the old Cincinnati coach that was with Herm in the ASU before?
Marvin Lewis.
I said, why don't you get a guy like Marvin Lewis as a
He was a really good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
What's that?
He was a really good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but he was a head coach for a long time. That's the veteran presence, something like that there.
Absolutely.
I would have
An
loved
assistant
to have
head
that.
coach, somebody that just gives some, these guys, and I know Saleh doesn't want to call guys out in front of the rest of the team or on national TV. That's fine, but at some point you've got to just lay down the law and give it to these guys, whether it's on TV or not, whether it's behind the scenes. But it just seems like he's playing the good guy, and that's not, that's just a bad risk. That's why Parcells, after his first season, said, "This is it. If I get fired, I'm going to get fired on my own terms," and changed everything about the way he coached. And
Will McDonough, who was covered the NFL for years up here, used to say, to be a good NFL coach, you have to have 2 qualities. One is you got to be smart, and the other is you have to be tough. And it comes in different ways. Obviously Tom Landry tough and Vince Lombardi tough, totally different personalities. But I worry about that. I've worried about that aspect of Saleh for a while. And coaching is so damn important. Did you see Jacksonville the other day? Oh my God. It's just like all these teams that have been bottom feeders like Cleveland and Cincinnati and Jacksonville, after a few years, boom, they're better. And it's like, we're just treading water here. It just drives me crazy.
There's no progress. And Now, Ralph, as I said to Ray, Trey Hendrickson was a defensive player of the week. It seems that
you should give the trophy to McDermott.
Well, I was going to say this week, Hightower He's going to probably line up against McDermott.
You really think they're going to start McDermott or throw one of those other guys in there?
I think he kind of hinted that he's going to start him. He also said he's played a lot of good football. I don't know what he's watching.
Well, not a tackle, I can tell you that.
Yeah, but you have to put Ruckert next to him. You can't, and you're going to have to keep a tight end. If you remember, Ray, you probably remember this. I think it was 2010 when the Jets lost the playoffs to the Steelers. Remember that? During the season, they beat the Steelers, I believe. And if I remember right, they had a guy, Wayne Hunter, that was very bad. But what they did is they had Justin Turner, another offensive lineman, line up next to him. They were giving up a tight end, but they had two linemen, and they ended up beating them during the season. So I just don't see them making decisions on the fly, Ralph. You know what I mean? I just don't
to be honest, it'd probably be better to have Max Mitchell at left tackle, but they probably don't want to give him that kind of pressure.
You can't do that now.
I know.
You don't want him. He's been doing good. He was played a little bit better. You just can't mess that up.
I like him where he is. I mean, I know what you're saying too, and he'd probably do better. But then they're just going to be coming from the left side instead of the right side. It's just take the pick.
Those two guys they picked up this week, are they going to be active?
I think
one of them.
Remmer,
active. No, not Remmers. It's
I don't think he's
guy. Wait a minute. Let me get his name. It's hard to pronounce.
And Grant Hermans is not going to be active again, or
I don't understand it.
Anyone but McDermott. Oh, jeez. You can't be worse than that guy.
You got to give him help. You can't leave him by himself. It's just plain and simple. He's got to have either a running back in there to cover that side, or the tight end over on that side, or somebody just to help, take a guy out of the.
Now it's Cedric Ogbuehi. Ogbuehi. Ray, I think he was a first-round pick.
He was a high pick, which doesn't really mean anything.
No, it doesn't.
You've proven that plenty of times.
It's going around. But I heard somebody said, well, maybe you move, what's his name? Hold on just a second.
AVT,
Yeah, to tackle, and you start Nate Hedberg at guard.
Herbig, yeah.
But, AVT, he's been doing well too. I'm reluctant to move him.
Yeah, you weaken two positions. I know his junior year in college, which was his last year, he played tackle. And the only person he gave a sack up to was Kayvon Thibodeau all year.
Yes.
But this is the NFL. I don't know. There's it's like playing whack-a-mole. You fix one thing and it's Zach Wilson. I hope his legs are in good shape, because if I were them, if they're going to go deep, do rollouts.
Right, away from Hightower.
Yeah.
Ray, I was going to ask you that part of my next question, and Ralph just hinted. Do you expect it? I expect to see more runs, but do you expect to see Zach like on 3-step drops? I mean, he can't do these 7-step drops.
I expect to see him. I don't know what to expect, because sometimes I blame LaFleur a lot, and then Flacco says, well, I need to take the check down a little more off. You're the vet. I expect that out of you without saying anything. So is he going to call some shorter patterns? I would like to see that too. Just get the quick stuff out and then hit him with something deep when you think timing is right. Don't call these 5 and 7-step drops where Zach's sitting back there trying to, wait for guys to run the route. Meanwhile, he's under pressure. Now, without TJ Watt, Pittsburgh's a whole different defense as far as rushing the passer and everything. But with our offensive line, we can make them look like the steel curtain of the 70s. So I want faster, shorter patterns, and then take your shot when you think you got it. And hopefully we can open up some holes and do some running.
Right. Talking about injuries, I don't know if, Ralph, you had heard Minka Fitzpatrick's in the concussion protocol.
Oh my God! I mean, this is a game the Jets need to win, because their schedule gets brutal after this.
I'll tell you how they should win. You guys think I'm crazy. I want them to go in halftime losing 10-7. I don't want them to think about putting in Kenny Pickett. I want him to keep that Trubisky.
Oh, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I don't think the Jets are going to be blowing them out in the first half.
Okay. You know what I mean, Ralph?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Because Pickett's going to be in soon. Hopefully, if the Jets actually win this game, it might be the next week. But everything is lined up for them to win this game. They should. Pittsburgh, if you look at their team stats, they are in the negative on every team stat. They are not a good team this year. I don't care what their name is. They lost to New England, who's not really a good team. So this is it. I mean, for Bob's Robert Saleh, huh?
Didn't we play Chicago when they had Trubisky and didn't he look good against us? So
we can make everyone look good. Because we don't put pressure on them unless
we'd have to make him look bad to go to Pickett. So I don't think that's really at this point. I'm not in
I'm not worried about that either.
Okay. Ray, I'm going to ask you this because I know Ralph's answer. You didn't see it, Ray, but Corey Davis did drop a pass over the middle. He should have had it. It wasn't a perfectly thrown pass. He got that penalty. Is it time we get Denzel Mims in there, see what he could do? What's your take?
Well, you mean starting? No, but I would like to see him on the field and getting some reps. I mean, I think it's time to give him an opportunity to see if he can make a difference. I mean, yeah, I would like to see him in the rotation of wide receivers, and why he's never even active, I don't understand that.
I think it's because they don't think he gives anything on special teams, and they're going to play these other three guys over him. Yeah. If someone gets hurt, they'll bring him on the next week, I suppose. But
yeah,
I think there's some question even now whether he knows the playbook inside and out, which is what I've heard.
How are we going to know? Yeah. Well, I mean, from our end, we can't tell that, but
he still catches more passes.
They don't want him to get hurt so that they can get more out of him in a trade. But I'm like, you're going to get more out of him in a trade if he goes on the field and does something than you are making him inactive. Making him inactive just lowers his value. So.
Yeah, I'm going to state something, which I was going to get into on the Saturday morning Jets Rewind Plus. I want to ask Ralph. I just hope he doesn't hang up on me. I kind of think at this point, I want to see Michael Carter get more carries and Breece Hall less. It's not a knock on Breece Hall. He's dropping a few. I just think Michael Carter, every time I think he's getting into a rhythm, we don't give him the ball. He is one of the best in the league of getting yardage after initial contact. I don't know if Breece Hall played 30 or 40 snaps. I would like to cut it down like 30 or 40% and give it to Michael Carter. Ralph, are you still there?
Well, he might have been out there for 30 or 40 snaps, but the Jets have really gone away from trying to commit to a run game. They give up on it really quickly. I mean, how much? It's one of the 3 games Flacco's thrown over 50 passes. Is that?
Yeah, but
we get behind early by more.
Yeah, but I think it's too early in the first half to give up on it.
It is,
especially with this team. Yeah.
And Breece Hall, and I know Michael Carter, the first game.
They're both good. Yeah.
He fumbled garbage time play, but Breece Hall, he's dropping more passes than I'd like. And he did have a fumble.
Michael Carter not only fumbled in the first game, he dropped a touchdown pass. So they both
so they're very complimentary. Yeah. Breece Hall, he is dropping more than he should. I mean, none of those really good.
Both of those.
They were lousy passes.
They were,
right.
Catchable, but they weren't great.
But man, I want that guy to touch the ball more because, like you said, Marty, he's going to break some.
He's going to break one.
Yeah, he's going to break more than one but they got to get him into a rhythm. But I agree, both those guys, I want to see them get the ball more. Yeah,
I do. They have to go to the run. Another injury issue besides Minka Fitzpatrick, the left guard, Dotson, who's a good player, he's got a high ankle sprain, and he might not play. Now, Ralph, I told Ray, when I hear that, I want him to play. Because I don't think he'll be as effective.
No, he won't.
And he'll be lining up against Queen and Williams. So I hope he plays. And Ralph, it's just like you're saying, and Ray, all these injuries, everything is lining up for the Jets again. And with Trubisky at quarterback, they got to win this game. They just have to win the
Yeah,
game.
if they don't win this game, they're going to be maybe looking at a really ugly season because what do they have after that? Green Bay and
No,
Miami or Buffalo.
Miami, Green Bay,
Ray,
Denver.
you know what happens
Uh,
when they lose this game? We get to the thin ice for Ralph Schrager because he might say bye-bye to the Jets.
well, it's the first game Wilson's played, so I'd like to, out of curiosity, see if he.
Of course, and
but
honestly, I mean, even if they don't win, look competitive.
Yeah,
look
like a professional team.
Yeah, look like you've got something going on that might make teams think you can do more than just, hope for everything by the other team go wrong in the last minute and 55 seconds and pull one out of your rear end.
Yeah, let me just ask you one quick hypothetical. If this season, goes in, ends up like 4-13, they look exactly the same as last year. Do you think Saleh gets fired, or do you think he keeps them?
4-13 would be tough. It depends how they look.
If they look like they did last year, pretty lousy. Yeah,
he might fire him. That seems to be the trend in the NFL.
My fear is not just that they fire him and Douglas, and here we go again.
I don't want Douglas.
I don't think Douglas will get fired, and I don't want him to get fired because I think he has improved the team.
I've said this a million times. I'm not convinced his first draft, Adam Gase didn't have a big say in it. No, I believe he did. Adam Gase got him the job, Ray.
I don't blame him on that, though. I don't.
Oh no, okay. So you're agreeing. You don't blame him on the first year, but since then,
I don't blame. As a matter of fact, what I blame the Jets for is keeping McCagnon around for his last draft instead of hiring Douglas back then. That whole scenario just irritated the crap out of me. But and I would say this too: if they have another year, I would hope they would keep Saleh around, but I would tell Douglas. If I was Douglas, I'd tell Saleh that we're replacing some of your coordinators. We're getting something else in here, and we're going to run something different. And if you're not okay with that, then you're gone. But I think they've got to make some changes one way or the other. And I would go with the coordinators before I'd go with Saleh.
I hate to say this, but I think Greg Williams has it all over Jeff Ulrich. They were competitive with him.
Greg Williams is a really good coordinator. He just made a stupid call in one game.
Yeah, but some of his calls, I just think, I just wonder if he's betting against the Jets. I don't know what the heck's going on. Ralph, I just want to straighten something out. 2 years ago, the Jets were making a move for Trey Hendrickson, who I think was with New Orleans and was coming off a 13-sack season.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that.
Right.
And Carl Lawson. If you look at it, Carl Lawson is not really a sack type of player. He's more just pressure.
Yeah.
People have been getting on Carl Lawson. I've been getting on him. I think we're not giving him enough credit. I think he's doing a little better than we thought. We just don't have that other thoroughbred on the other side. Am I wrong, Ralph?
They're not collapsing the pocket in the middle. Yeah, he gets a good push. When Hendrickson, the word on him was they were all secondary sacks. They were cleanup sacks, which to me is like that shows a guy has a motor, and he's still producing. I'm okay with Lawson. I heard Ray the other day said that he is coming off the injury. That's a tough injury. I'll cut him some slack. I think he'll get better as the year goes on. I don't think he's the biggest problem on that defensive line by a long shot.
What about Jacob Martin?
I know you can't stand him. I'd like to see Bryce Huff out there. Sure. Well, there's a lot of guys on that line. Does Solomon Thomas? Does that guy do anything? I don't know.
Not really, but
I haven't heard his name. I don't know. Is he doing?
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to see the guys on the other side being what they were saying Hendrickson was, which Lawson getting the pressure, which means the other side should be getting some sacks. But we're just letting guys like Burrow escape, and then they create, and that's where we're getting killed. We aren't finishing. We're getting some pressure, but we aren't getting to them. We're getting close enough to get a hand out there and touch them, but we can't seem to get a hold of them, and then they get out of the pocket, and we're getting beat on, these scramble plays and things. That's, if you look at Burrow's touchdown or plays in general. A lot of them were after we had good pressure, but we let him out of the pocket.
Listen, that guy's an elite quarterback.
Oh, he is. I love the guy. I mean,
Oh,
Jesus.
I do too. He knows
We
how to
drafted
extend plays. Ray, we're recording this Thursday night, and the Bengals are right now taking the field against the Dolphins. Just give Jet fans a little synopsis of how Eli Apple plays when he's in the league. The defensive back.
If you can think of any woman in your life that just talks nonstop and won't shut up, that's Eli Apple. He doesn't shut, no matter how bad he's playing, he doesn't shut his mouth. And that's what happened with Corey Davis. And if you let him, he'll get under your skin. But if you don't, he's not really, his talk is a lot better than his game. So you need to just shut down listening to him talking and go to work on him. He isn't a horrible DB, but he's far from as elite as he talks.
Did he do that in college, Ray, or was he allowed to?
He's been a talk. I didn't realize how much he talked until after he left, and they mentioned that he nonstop practice or game. He nonstop. He talks. And then he took a bunch of crap in the Super Bowl for giving up the touchdowns. And he was talking after that. Well, next year, you wait, next year I'll be even better. Well, okay. Wait to see that still. But if you let it, like Corey Davis, let him get under your skin, a little too much, you let it up and get to you. You can't.
Ralph, you had mentioned sitting down Jermaine Johnson last week, the first half. He looked pretty good.
He was okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that was a positive.
That's a positive.
Yeah, and he should get better as the year goes on. Yeah.
What's your feeling, Ralph? In 2020, it looked like John Franklin Myers' best tape was when he was on the inside.
Yeah.
Do you think the Jets should at least try him there, or maybe?
Oh, absolutely. I was hoping that they'd play him the majority of the snaps.
Switch him back and forth. I mean, move him around.
And on passing downs, he's should be as a tackle. I always thought he was very effective.
Ralph, give me your starting defensive line.
Well, I mean, it rotates, but I would probably on Lawson, Williams, Franklin Myers, and Huff.
Okay,
Yeah.
Huff.
I'd try that.
Huff is more of a
He's a third then, yeah.
Yeah. So get him in there on third down or whatever on the end and move Franklin Myers inside. That would be. Yeah. I'd try that, but and nothing else seems to be working. Try it.
Right. By the way, guys, I overlooked on a podcast that we lost. I was so upset. And just a heads up to Greg Zuerlein. He had a great game. And except for that first game, he's been doing pretty good. And Braden Mann looks like he turned it around. So hopefully the special teams, we're doing a lot better. So we'll have to see. So anyway, I think we're going to close this out. Anything else, guys? Any last words?
Oh, I thought you wanted to talk a little bit about our wonderful safeties.
Oh, yes. Ray, you start. LaMarcus Joyner.
Well, you could have picked either name and I would have been down on it. I mean, I'm so down on the safeties right now. It's not even funny. And now it's like, why did we give up Pinnock? Because right now he seems like he would have been a better option than what we're playing with. If those guys don't come around, we just got to start trying, put Ashton Davis in there. He can't do any worse than Joyner.
I put Tony Adams in there at this point.
Tony Adams, I'll go with it. I'm all for it. Try something. And Whitehead, learn how to use your arms to tackle. You're not Ronnie Lott. You're not going to knock these tight ends off or big receivers over because you're not that big. Just wrap them up and get them on the damn ground.
Yeah. And Ralph had mentioned it like 2 weeks ago, Ralph. I was agreeing with you when they signed Jordan Whitehead. I thought it was a wonderful signing.
So did I.
And
big disappointment. Big disappointment. Gosh.
What a disappointment. It's just been one bad week after another. And, they have to simplify that defense. They have to go to man. They're too predictable. I don't like the defensive coordinator. They have to do a better job. And it just seems we're out schemed every single game.
They're out schemed and they miscommunicate. It's like the Keystone Cops. And like I said to you, Saleh, he gets up there and he says, we go zone first and second down and man third. I mean, I hope he's just,
Yeah.
why do you say that?
The other team.
Why doesn't he just tell them our first 10 plays?
I know he's a great communicator, but not like that, man.
We're faxing over our first 15 calls.
It's just some of the things he does. It's just unbelievable. He has in his own mind. He's coached for a while. He has in his own mind, like everyone, he takes bits and pieces from coaches he loved, and he wants to develop his own philosophy, but it's just not working.
Yeah, at some point you got to come up with something and go with it and make it work. You can't just keep, mixing things up all the time. You got to have some kind of idea of what's going to work. And then, basically the old formula was, if it's working, go with it till they figure it out and then change. If
Right.
you can run the ball, run it till they stop it.
Yeah.
Now it seems like you're changing everything up all the time.
All right, we're going to close it out, but I'm going to get a prediction, and we're going to do a little differently, not win or loss. Ralph, give me Zach Wilson's line for this Sunday. Attempts, completion, yardage, receptions.
15 for 23, 185 yards, 1-1.
I think Namath was 15 for 23 in the Super Bowl.
Right?
Good, Ray. I was going to say something very close. Good, Ray.
No, I think there's going to be more. I mean, I hope we can run, but if we don't, I'm going to go with 18-31 and 280 yards and one. I'm going to go with one pick instead of two, and then one TD.
I'm going to go 15 for 25. 2 TDs, 1 interception, 285 yards. Okay, last question. And I'll start.
I'll take that.
How many times does Zach Wilson get sacked? I say twice. Ray?
They've only had 2 sacks since TJ Watt's been out, so that means they'll get at least 2. I'll go with 3 because I want to see that he's learned to get rid of the ball when he doesn't have anything there. So I'm going to go with 3.
Ralph?
Yeah, 3 sounds like a good number. I was thinking that too.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll close it out for Jets Rewind. Make sure you watch Saturday morning on Schupak Sports, Jets Rewind Plus with Marty. I have a flawless plan that if Robert Saleh had followed it, it'd be 3-0.
Well, if the key is for Saleh to watch, you don't care about anyone else. Just get
Right.
Saleh to watch.
Somebody get this to Saleh. Tell him to tune in.
He knows he's got my number. So
He's hitching his wagon to Marty.
okay. For Ralph Schrager, Ray Clifford, and Marty Schupak, until next time.